Good morning, students. So in today's class we will discuss. In the last class we discussed contiguous and non-contiguous memory allocation techniques, and in today's class we will see the differences between contiguous and non-contiguous memory allocations. Right. So there are four differences. The first difference is memory allocation. Right. How the memory is going to be allocated in case of contiguous and in case of non-contiguous memory allocation. The kernel allocates a single memory area to a process, right? So whenever the process requests for, or whenever user requests for memory to the operating system or to the kernel, then kernel will allocate the contiguous memory allocation to particular process or the requested process. And in case of non-contiguous memory allocation, the kernel allocates several memory areas to a process. Each memory area holds one component of a process. The entire memory is not going to hold the entire process. That entire process is getting divided into number of components, and each component will be held in a free space, right? So in this way the kernel is going to allocate part of a memory to part of a process, right? Next, address translation. Address translation is not required in case of contiguous memory allocation, because there is a contiguous memory address are allocated to a particular process, right? But address translation is required in case of non-contiguous, because the address space is not a contiguous address space is not a contiguous, and the logical address needs to be converted into a physical address, right? So this address translation is required in case of non-contiguous memory allocation. Third one, the memory fragmentation. What do you mean by fragmentation? Dividing the memory in several small spaces is called memory fragmentation. External fragmentation arises if first fit, best fit and next fit allocation is used. This difference you can omit here because this is not there in the syllabus, so we did not discuss this fragmentation technique, right? Interfragmentation arises if memory allocation is performed in blocks of a few standard sizes. And in paging, what is paging, that you will come to know later, right? So for time being I am skipping this difference, okay? And the last one, swapping. Unless the computer system provides a relocation register, a swapped in process must be placed in its originally allocated area, right? It's a contiguous memory allocation, then swapped in process must be placed in its original allocated area until and unless the swap out process happens, right? So once the swap out technique is adopted and the process is taken out from the main memory, right? So when it is brought back from the secondary memory into primary memory, again if the same space is available with the kernel, then kernel will allocate the same space to that particular process. Otherwise it will relocate that particular swapped out process in a different memory area of main memory, okay? And in case of non-contiguous memory allocation, components of a swapped in process can be placed anywhere in the memory, right? Because anyhow the kernel is going to keep track of these allocated spaces which are located in parts, right? So in that case we do not require a swapped in process that can be placed anywhere in the memory, right? So these are the three differences between the contiguous and non-contiguous memory allocation techniques, right? So in next slide we will discuss the next part of this topic, which is paging, right? So what do you mean by paging, and how it is performed, and what all different techniques we are going to follow in paging, that we are going to see. Next is paging. In the logical weave, the address space of a process consists of a linear arrangement of pages, right? So here the entire process space is divided into a number of pages. Each page has s bytes in it, and where s is a power of 2, right? So let us say the page has s bytes in it. Let us say, if I say the page size is let us say 8, right? So where 8 is the rate is power of 2, right? So page size can be of 8 bytes, right? So 16 bytes, 32 bytes and all, right? So whatever page size here, that should be power of 2. The value of S is specified in the architecture of a computer system. Processes use numeric logical addresses. The memory management unit, in short what we call it as MMU, it decomposes the logical address into a pair, right? So now it has to identify the page in which a particular process component is existing, and byte, right? Byte present in that particular page, where PI is the page number, right? And BI is the byte number within the page PI, right? So this technique we already discussed in case of non-contiguous memory allocation, where the page was identified by the process component, right? And byte was same, right? Instead of process component, we are writing it as a page, right? Pages in a program and bytes in a page are numbered from 0. Always the pages are going to start from again 0, and even bytes are going to start from 0. So in a logical address PI comma BI, PI is always greater than or is equal to 0, and BI is, it lies between 0 and yes. The page is always going to start from 0, and it is always greater than or is equal to 0, and a byte is going to lie in within this page. So byte number lies between 0 and yes, where 0 is the starting address of the byte and yes is the last, that is the page size, you can say, right? What will be the maximum size of a byte, or what will be the maximum byte number? It will be equal to the size of a page. Next, consider, we will explain this paging concept with an example. Consider there are two processes P and R in a system using a page size of 1 KB, right? So there are two processes P and R, both are using paging technique, and the size of a page, each page is 1 KB. The bytes in a page are numbered from 0 to 1023, right? So here, if I take this as one page, then the bytes in a page, each page are numbered from 0 to 1023. Process P has the start address 0 and size of 5500 bytes. Let us say the size of a process P is 5500 bytes. The size of process P is 5500 bytes, right? And hence it has total 6 pages numbered from 0 to 5. Why it requires 6 pages? Because if you divide 5500 by 1024. Why 1024? Because each page size is 1024. 1 KB is nothing but 1024 bytes, right? So if I divide this, how many pages we will get? Just calculate. So this ratio will come around 5.37, right? So I cannot use only 5 pages, right? If I use 5 pages, and if one more byte which lies in which goes beyond this 5th page, then I cannot accommodate that. I cannot identify that byte. So we require total 6 pages, right? So you take a number which is a whole number, right? So don't consider it as a fraction. If you get the answer in fraction, then you take the next whole number as the page number, right? So total how many pages we require for this? We require total 6 pages. The last page contains only 380 bytes, right? So why it is 380 bytes? You just multiply 1024 into 5. How much it comes around? It comes around 5120. It is equal to 5120, right? If I subtract this number from 5500, if I subtract 5120 from 5500, so it will come around 380, right? So last page is going to have only 380 bytes, right? But each page size is of 1024, right? The other bytes, 1024 minus 380, whatever bytes you will get, let me calculate that, which is 644. 644 bytes are going to remain vacant. So these, they are not going to be used because the size of process P is 5500 bytes. So if a data item sample had an address of 5248, let us say, uh, if I want to allocate, if I want to get the data or instruction which is present at 5248, right? So to identify where this byte lies, right? So first we need to identify the page number, and from that page number, from the starting address of that page number, how far that particular data is, right? So that I need to identify. So before to identify, or before to locate this particular data present at 5248, first we need to identify in which page that byte lies, so which is around 5 into 1024 plus 128. Just divide it by again 1024, 5248, you divide it by 5248 divided by 1024, right? Similar to this, what I said here, for 5500, whatever calculation I said, the same procedure you apply to calculate to in which page this byte is going to lie, right? Just divide it, how much it will, you will get around 5.125, 5.125, right? So this answer integer part gives you the page number, right? So integer part is 5, so this byte lies in 5th page, right? So 5th page in the sense the 5th numbered page, right? So there are total 6 pages here, that means 6th page it lies, right? So 6th page is numbered as 5, so I am telling it as 5th page or 6th page you can say, but which is numbered as 5. Okay, so now how far it is from that 5th page starting address, for that what I need to do, I need to calculate same, that is 1024 into 5, you do, how much it comes around 5120, 5120 you will get. And if you subtract this number from the byte address, that is 52 we are looking at, that is 5248, if I subtract 5120 from 5248, which comes around 128, that means the page number is 5, pi will be 5, and the byte number will be 128. Similar to this we can also calculate for other processes as well. And here in the diagram, process R has a size of 2500 bytes, hence it has total 3 pages numbered from 0 to 2. Divide again, divide 2500 by 1024, it will come around 2.44, so you require total 3 pages to accommodate all these 2500 bytes. Okay, so I hope you understood how to calculate the page numbers as well as byte numbers, and even how to identify, how to locate a particular byte or particular memory which we are looking at. Okay, so moving to the next slide, how this paging, who is going to perform this paging calculation and all, right? The hardware partitions memory into areas called page frames. The page frames in a memory are numbered from 0, right? So whatever in the previous diagram, whatever we have seen, right? So these are called the page frames, right? The page numbers are itself are called as page frames. Each page frame is same size as a page, right? If this is a page frame and this is also considered as a page, one page, and its size will be equal to 1 KB, as we discussed in the last slide. At any moment, some page frames are allocated to pages of a process while others are free. The kernel maintains a list called free frames list to note the frame numbers of free page frames, right? So some pages are going to remain free, right? The kernel is going to make a list of all those frames which are, or all those pages which are free. While loading a process for execution, the kernel consults a free frames list and allocates a free page frame to each page of a process, right? Kernel will, whenever the process requests for any kind of memory, then the kernel will consult this free frame list, then it will identify and allocates a free page frame to each page of a process. To facilitate the address translation, the kernel constructs a page table for each process. The page table has an entry for each page of a process which indicates the page frame allocated to the page, right? Then while performing address translation for a logical address, the memory management unit uses the page number PI to index the page table of a process, obtains the frame number of the page frame allocated to PI, and computes the effective memory address. Now here you can, that concept of page frame will be clear in this slide. Okay. In figure 11.20 shows the physical view of execution of a process P and R, right? So whatever logical we have seen in the last slide, last to last slide, a same logical view is explained in the form of a physical view here. Each page frame is 1 KB. Each page frame is 1 KB in size. The computer has a memory of 10 KB. The computer has a memory of 10 KB, right? Because there are total 10 pages and each page size is 1 KB. So 1 KB into 10 is 10 KB. So page frames are numbered from 0 to 9. 6 page frames are occupied by process P, as we have already seen, because its size is 5500 bytes, and 3 page frames are occupied by process R. The pages contained in the page frames are shown as P0, R0, P1, P0 to P5 and R0 to R2, because process P requires 6 pages, process R requires 3 pages. Page frame 4 is free. This is free, right? It is not allocated by the kernel to any of the process, because initially it might be occupied by some of the other processes, right? If that process completes its execution, that particular space will become free. Hence, the free frames list contains only one entry. Free frames list contains only one entry, that is 4. The page table of P, indicates the page frame allocated to each page of P, right? See here, the pages of process P, they are not continuously allocated, right? So kernel will maintain a table of page frame. P0 is allocated to page frame number 1. So 0, it is 1. Next P1 is 3. P1 is 3. Next P2 is 9. P2 is 9. Right? Like this, the kernel will maintain a list of page frame. As mentioned earlier, the variable sample of process P has a logical address 528, where when process P uses this logical address during its execution, it will be translated into effective memory address. Effective memory address will be equal to, what will be the effective address of this logical view, that is 5,128. What we discussed in the last to last slide was a logical page address, right? So now if I give this to calculate the physical address, first it will look into the page number. It will consult the page frame number, and it will, from 5 it will obtain the page frame number, that is 8, right? And byte that will remain same, byte number will remain same. So 8 into 1024 plus 128, so it will get the physical address as 8320, right? So this calculation is very important when in the exam point of view, right? So in this way the paging technique is implemented in operating system, right? So in next class we will see segmentation. Thank you.